Well, we all want faster internet, no question, and at some point, folks in one part of Austin will all have Google Fiber. Crews have been busy this summer installing the high-speed internet in selected neighborhoods.
But one man says a crew worked on his property without permission and ruined parts of his lawn. We stepped in, and now everyone involved is apologizing. But we wondered what's happening to keep this from happening again. KXAN investigator Lindsey Bramson has the story.
Come on, Winston. I don't know what they thought I would think when I came home and saw these trenches in my backyard.
Timothy Dillon says this wasn't there when he left for work one morning.
My first thought was it looked like two graves side by side.
After talking with some of his neighbors, he learned Pike Electric was in his backyard that afternoon. His neighbor says he saw three men pull up to his back gate and drive their truck into his backyard.
Not good, because Tim wasn't here. So not having neighbors in the house is, unless they got permission, but I called Tim or saw him later on that evening and he said they didn't have permission.
Well, originally I had just a bungee cord holding the gate closed to secure it, and now I have a chain and a padlock on it.
KXAN has learned the employees were working for Austin Energy at the time. Google Fiber and Austin Energy are partners on the Google Fiber project. At that time, crews were replacing wiring and needed to get into Dillon's backyard in order to do the work. But they didn't ask for permission and left behind quite the mess.
Oh, as a property owner, I feel like this is my land. I have a fenced-in area, and I feel like people should ask permission before coming into my property.
A spokesperson for Austin Energy tells me the employees should have contacted the owner before doing any work.
As the contractor failed to notify everybody because some of the customers were not going to lose their power, so they assumed that they didn't have to notify them. Well, that was a mistake.
What are you going to do to prevent something like this from happening again in the future?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we meet with the contractors regularly. We also meet with Google Fiber regularly to go over this process. In this instance, the customer wasn't notified, and we want to know about those kind of things because we want the process to be right and we want to correct it.
A supervisor with Pike Electric declined an on-camera interview, but says his employees were written up and given a warning. A week after our investigation began, workers went back to the homeowner's house and replaced the grass.
Just a few days later, they're here replacing the sod. Your involvement definitely helped get these results, so I really appreciate KXAN's help on this.
If something similar happens to you, you can call 311 to complain. I found out you can also call the Austin Police Department if you ask a worker to leave your property and they don't. Now, the project is far from complete. Google Fiber still has several more months of work before it's in every Austin neighborhood, and you can be sure we'll keep checking back to make sure crews are following the rules. Reporting in South Austin, Lindsey Bramson, KXAN Investigates.
And KXAN wanted to know how many complaints have been made to the city against utility companies. And since crews began work on the Google Fiber project, the city of Austin says they have received a half dozen complaints since early summer.
So what are your rights? We contacted a local real estate attorney today. The long and short of it, utilities can come onto your land and work on fiber optic cable and other services. It's called a utility easement, which is written into your deed and closing documents for your house. What they cannot do, though, is leave a mess for you to clean up. Remember, if you rent, you have no rights in this. Only property owners do.